Hello everyone, welcome to another movie review. I just got done seeing Babylon, directed by Damien Chazelle, also written by Damien Chazelle, I believe. Of course, if you're familiar with him, he made Whiplash and La La Land and that movie First Man with Ryan Gosling. I never saw First Man, but I heard it was good. Whiplash, one of my favorite movies of all time. That movie's excellent. If you've never seen Whiplash, do yourself a favor and check it out. La La Land is also an excellent movie. Not one of my all-time favorites or anything like that, but definitely, going to go down as a classic. So those are his pretty much major films he's directed. And overall, I got to say, this guy is very talented. Like, he knows movies. Like, he really does. And when he's one of those guys now, it's like, okay, I'm going to see his name attached to a movie, I'm going to go see the movie. You know what I mean? Sort of like Christopher Nolan and, like, Tarantino. There's not so many directors nowadays where, like, or Jordan Peele, you know what I mean? Like, there's only a handful of directors, like, you see their name attached to something, it's like, okay, I'm going to go see it just because it's another movie from that director. And Damien Chazelle is one of those guys now. So yeah, this movie had a lot going for it because it's got a pretty big cast, obviously. It's got Margot Robbie, Brad Pitt, Tobey Maguire's in there. I'll just say that about his character. Tobey Maguire's in the movie. His character was very interesting. You got other people in there. But I gotta say, overall, this movie was very, very good. And I'm a huge fan of old-time, like, classic Hollywood. Like, I love that era. Like, seeing it portrayed in movies, especially. Like, because I recently watched Chaplin this year for the first time. The Robert Downey Jr. Chaplin movie where he played Charlie Chaplin. And I gotta say, I was very fascinated by the way they portrayed that era. But yeah, that whole, 1920s into 30s, that, because this movie takes place in the late 20s into the early 30s. And that's when things were changing in Hollywood. The silent movie era was coming to an end, and then, movies started having sound, and this movie did a great job in portraying that transition and how it affected, all the people involved in movie making. So overall, this movie, like I said, was very good. I have a couple gripes with it, though. It's not quite perfect. It is 3 hours, a little over 3 hours, I think. And the runtime didn't bother me necessarily. It's just, I felt like you could have trimmed a little bit here and there, and I will say the ending of the movie, which I'm not going to spoil, obviously, it hit a certain mark, and I was like, okay, let's end it here. That's perfect. I was feeling the emotions. I was like, let's end it right here. And when you see the movie, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. But then it kept going for a little bit, and I was like, oh, okay, what are we doing now? And then it just sort of, I don't know, it's not that it didn't stick the landing, it's just the last, like, couple minutes weren't totally necessary, in my opinion. Like, I get what he was going for, but you'll see what I mean when you watch the movie. There's a certain emotional beat towards the very ending that hits, and it's like, okay, let's end it right there. But yeah, this movie takes you on a ride. So, obviously, the comparison I made initially, I'm sure most people are going to make, it's very much because, Margot Robbie was in these movies also. This movie is sort of the child of Wolf of Wall Street and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And Brad Pitt was also in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And it's funny, too, there's actually a couple actors in this movie that were in Wolf of Wall Street, which is, I don't know if it's a coincidence or they're doing it on purpose or what. But I'm pretty sure that was also a Paramount movie, so there's probably, like, some sort of connection there. Because I know actors are contractually obligated to make a certain amount of movies with a studio or something. I have no idea how it works. But, yeah, it's kind of funny how there's, like, similar actors between movies. Margot Robbie obviously being in all three of them. But this movie very much is, like, the bastard child of of Wolf of Wall Street and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And from the very first scene, you can tell this is a wild movie. I want to say this movie is 80% wild and 20% serious, and I'm pretty sure that's, like, a correct estimate. Like, it's pretty wild. There are some scenes in this that are just like, how the fuck did he come up with this? Now, I don't think this is based on a true story. I didn't really look into it. I'm pretty sure none of these characters are actually real people. Were real people. Like, I know initially when they were announcing this movie, they were saying Tobey Maguire is going to play Charlie Chaplin. Like, I'm here to tell you, that is not, I don't know how that ever came to be, because, you know, obviously he's not playing Charlie Chaplin in this. They just got it wrong, I guess, but his character in this movie is not, there's no. I don't know how that happened. But yeah, no, this movie I don't think is based on any real people. And, you know, like I said, the 20% that is serious, it is surprisingly very serious, and it's very effective, in my opinion. Everybody does a great job here. I think this film will get Oscar attention, considering, you know, it is Damien Chazelle, and his other films all got Oscar attention. Margot Robbie, I'm already a huge fan of her. Obviously, I got my shirt, you know. Absolutely love her as Harley Quinn. I, Tonya, she absolutely killed it in that movie. She should have won an Oscar for that. Wolf of Wall Street, obviously, you know, that was her breakout role. And, you know, she's honestly, she might just be, like, my favorite actor working today. Like, I'm not even, like, joking. She is incredibly talented in everything she does. And this movie is no exception. This just might be her best performance yet. And I know in interviews she explained, like, she really had to, like, this was her most physical and demanding role, and you'll see why in this movie. Like, she really takes it to, like, another level. Yeah, I absolutely loved what she brought to this movie. Brad Pitt as well. His character at first, I was just kind of like, okay, he's just kind of like here as a side character, but then his character actually kind of goes on a journey. And yeah, I'll just leave it at that. And there's another actor in there. I forget the actor's name. He's essentially the main character, Manny. He's also very good in this. I haven't seen him in anything before, and he killed it. He was great. Now, my one little issue I was going to mention earlier, there is another character that sort of gets focused in this. He's a trumpet player. His name is Sidney. His character is, you know, African-American, and the movie does a great job in showing the struggles he goes through, you know, during that era of Hollywood as an African-American in movies, and, you know, as a musician, as an actor. But the problem I had with his character was, like, they did a good job of showing that, but they never really gave him, like, you know, like an arc or, like, character development. Like, he just sort of, he gets some focus, but it kind of leads to nothing, and he's also not really, like, properly introduced in the movie. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's introduced in the movie, but, like, you wouldn't think this guy would get focused in the, like, it's weird. I don't know how to explain it. He doesn't get proper character development, is what I'm trying to say. So his character felt kind of, like, unfulfilled to me. But the actor did a great job, you know. Everybody did a great job in this. So that's, like, my one, like, kind of big gripe was that. And then, again, like I mentioned, some of the movie could have been trimmed down just a little bit. But I'm not, you know, honestly, most of the movie was fine. Like I said, it was just that little ending bit that should have been trimmed, I think, in my opinion. But yeah, this movie was excellent. I mean, man, this is, if you're a fan of movies, you need to see this. Like, this is a love letter to, especially if you're a fan of, like, old time Hollywood and stuff like that. I guess it's the golden age, right? Yeah. So yeah, honestly, I don't really have much else to say, you know. Like I said, the plot is mainly just about the late 20s into the early 30s, the transition from, you know, silent film to talking, and also what actors go through when they feel like they become has-beens. Sort of similar, again, to, you know, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Leo's character. He's like, I'm a has-been, you know. But yeah, this was very good. You know, Damien Chazelle, man, this guy is so talented, like, seriously. But yeah, that's about it. Honestly, I'm not really going to do a spoiler section. Go see the movie. I'm going to rate it a 9.5 out of 10. It's not quite a 10 for me. It has the potential, you know, maybe on a rewatch, maybe down the line, you know, I might change my mind. But I really thoroughly enjoyed this movie. Like, I was happy to see it. And yeah, so anyways, next time I go to this AMC, I'm going to park like this again. I never usually park in this area of the parking lot, but I like the background. You can see the movie theater. So yeah. So the last movie of the year technically is going to be Knives Out, the Glass Onion movie, Glass Onion, Knives Out. It's on Netflix today, I think, so I'm going to check that out sometime this weekend. I don't know. I'm not going to review it, though, because it would be an extremely late review, because, you know, it did come out a while ago in theaters. But I'll post my review, my rating on Letterboxd, obviously. So again, I'm going to mention it one more time. The film of the year is Top Gun Maverick. It's the film of the year, so that's my favorite. Let me know your guys' favorite movie of the year, considering the year is pretty much over now. Your top 5, your top 10, whatever you want to tell me. Again, if you go on my Letterboxd, I have all the movies I saw this year ranked. So this overall was a good year for movies. My least favorite was Morbius, and that's everybody's least favorite, I'm sure. So, but yeah, even then, Morbius I gave a 7, which people probably think I'm batshit crazy for that. So yeah, I still haven't rewatched it, so maybe when I do rewatch it, I'll probably lower that score. So yeah, that's it. That's Damien Chazelle's Babylon, and yes, I mentioned Morbius in the same video. So yeah, go see this movie. It's definitely for film fans, movie lovers. It's a love letter to Hollywood, basically. And also shows the dark sides of Hollywood, obviously. Like, this movie actually shows some really disturbing shit in it, I'm not going to lie. So, yeah. But yeah, that's about it. Thank you guys for watching this one, and have a good one. Bye-bye.